Next item of consent, or conduct, I'm sorry.
Adopt the resolution as well.
Item 6B, adopt resolutions for legislative actions required to approve an official statement and purchase contract in connection with the refunding of outstanding certificates of participation, Series 2000 Police Facility Financing.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council members. Keith DeMartini, the city's finance director. It's my pleasure to present an overview of the refunding of the certificates of participation debt on the police facility with lease revenue bonds. The city's municipal advisor, Jim Fabian from Fieldman Roll-Up and Associates, is here with us this evening and has worked on this project extensively with me and the financing team. And I will present just a brief overview of the debt refinancing to council. We had delivered a presentation on November 13th, 2018, requesting basically your pre-approval for us to proceed. And tonight we'll be asking for your final action to proceed with the bond sale. So the agenda for the presentation this evening will just be a brief objective and a review of the current 2,000 certificates of participation, or more commonly known as the COPs. I'll give you a list of all the people that have been on the financing team for this refinancing. I'll give you an overview of the proposed lease revenue bond refinancing structure, the debt issuance process, tonight's action, and then any questions that you may have. So there are two requests before you, one as acting as the City Council and the other as acting as the San Bruno Public Financing Authority. And we'll be requesting the adoption of a resolution of the City Council and the Financing Authority of approving of the official statement and the purchase contract in connection with the lease financing and approving related documents and the official actions. So just a brief review of the existing certificates of participation on the police facility. In 2000, the city issued $9.6 million of COPs to fund the construction of the police facility. The debt service payments are approximately $650,000 annually, and it is an obligation of the city's general fund. However, it is paid by the successor agency, formerly the redevelopment agency, from tax revenues, which were formerly tax increment revenues that are included in our successor agency's annual recognized obligation payment schedule, or ROPS, that we work on the County Oversight Committee with, the County Oversight Board. The reimbursement agreement is between the city and the redevelopment agency, and it was dated on December 1st of 2000. So today, the 2,000 COPs have a remaining principal balance of just under $6 million, and it bears an interest rate between 5.15 and 5.25%. The February 1st principal payment was $335, and it will be paid in the fiscal year 18-19 ROPS schedule that was approved. So the remaining balance that we're proposing to refund and refinance is $5,660,000. So the financing team members involved, I've been working very closely with our bond disclosure counsel, which is Jones Hall. Jim Fabian is our primary contact, and he's our municipal financial advisor from Fieldman Roll-Up and Associates. Bond underwriter is Prager and Company. The trustee, where the funds will be held, is Union Bank. And then the rating agency that gave us a rating is Standard & Poor's, or S&P. So an overview of the proposed lease revenue bond for Series 2019, again, secured by the city's general fund, but paid, again, from the tax revenues per the amended reimbursement agreement through the successor agency. There is no debt service reserve fund. It will bear a fixed rate. It will have a 12-year term, which does not represent any change to the existing term on the 2,000 COP, so they will expire at the same date. It is estimated that the 2019 lease revenue bonds will produce net present value savings of approximately 12%, which far exceeds the standard set by the Government Finance Officers Association and in the city's debt policy. The average annual reduction in the debt service payments will be approximately $128,000. Many taxing entities in San Mateo County will reap the benefits of us refinancing this debt. The city's share of this net present value savings is $19,000 annually. The estimated true interest cost of the debt will be around 2.78%. So again, significantly lower than the 5.25% on our existing COP, with a total net present value savings over the life of the indebtedness of $1.5 million. The city did receive an S&P, a credit rating from S&P for this refinancing issuance. We received a AA+ rating, which is on the scale shown here on this slide, a very high grade credit rating. The S&P report noted that the economy in San Bruno is very strong. There's strong management. There are strong and good financial policies and practices that the city employs. There's strong budgetary performance with operating surpluses, noting our strong reserve balances. And the city has strong budget flexibility and liquidity to respond and to adopt budgets that meet the city's needs. So again, this is a testament to the financial situation of the city, and we've yielded a very high credit rating, which is excellent. So the process has been rather long. It's taken a number of months to get to this point. There were many approvals required, both from the City Council, the successor agency, the Public Financing Authority, the County Oversight Committee with the county, and then ultimately the Department of Finance of the state had to approve of us doing this. We secured an underlying credit rating recently, and tonight before you is the final action of the City Council and the Public Financing Authority. We will then very quickly move to negotiating the sale of the bonds, and we anticipate closing on March 21st. So again, just to reiterate tonight's actions, we're requesting the City Council and the Public Financing Authority adopting a resolution approving the official statement and purchase contract in connection with the lease financing and approving related documents and official actions. That concludes my presentation. Be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Any questions for staff?
Through the chair?
Mike?
Yeah. So the certificates of participation and these new lease-based the bond, to me, they sound like essentially the same thing. They're bonds issued and they're repaid by lease payments. So what is the difference between the two?
Yeah, yes, hi, Jim Fabian of Field Mineral App. There really is not any distinctive difference. It really goes to the preference of bond investors. And so back in the 80s and 90s, certificates of participation were used very commonly. And since then, though, lease revenue bonds have replaced their use. And what we're recommending is the use of lease revenue bonds, and that's been in the approval process since we started in November. And we think that is what investors want, and we think it's the best approach. But it's not a lot of difference. I mean, it's more substance over style, so to speak, because you as an individual bond investor or bond fund will buy bonds in denomination of $5,000. If you had certificates of participation, you would buy certificates of participation in denominations of $5,000, and then you would have rights to receive principal and interest payments, still exactly what you have under the lease revenue bonds.
And so is one deemed riskier, and is that what drives the interest rates?
Well, no. I mean, it's really, again, preference of investors and the evolution. A lot of people still use certificates of participation, and it's more based upon what you're doing and in terms of what you're financing. And in this case, because we're using the financing authority, we think the lease revenue bonds approach is better, and we would recommend that you move forward with that. But they're still used. COPs haven't gone away. I mean, they're still out there and can be used, but the preference now is to use lease revenue bonds, and that's what we have recommended to staff in putting together the financing in front of you tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions? Margaret, please.
So currently, the costs are paid through the successor agency, and there's nothing further coming out of the general fund?
That is correct. There is no true burden on the general fund to pay the debt. It is approved through the annual ROPS process, and the ROPS process will be adjusted for the change in the debt from the refinancing.
Got it, that's great.
For the police facility.
Correct.
Yeah. No, I just didn't want to think it was for the payment of the salary. That's all. Oh, that's what I meant.
So BART owns the land. The city is, I'm sorry, I turned it off. Thank you, sorry. BART owns the property where the police station sits, and the city of San Bruno owns the facility. How long is that relationship? I think at the last council meeting I asked the question, like, so this lease of where are we at? We own, maybe you can help fill that in part for now?
I don't know the term of that. Typically, things like that are structured with a very long, almost indefinite term. We can research that.
Okay.
I don't recall what the term of that is, but typically the relationship will stay as long as the two parties continue to agree. And it's very hard to unwind because we own the building on top of their land. But the agreement is that BART PD gets use of the police station as essentially a BART police substation. And so the relationship has been working very well.
Okay. And I didn't mention, congratulations on obtaining the second highest rating possible. Just curious, what would it have taken to get that higher? Because you got to strive for it. You got to have a goal. And just how close were we? What do we need to do?
Sure. Well, I want to make sure that the distinction is not left unsaid. You are a AAA rated city. So when S&P looks at the city, the financing, the management, the policy framework of the city, they rate you a AAA, and they stated that in their report. This specific bond issue and any bond issue of a AAA city would be a notch lower because it's a lease transaction. So that's why it's a AA plus. But specifically in the report, like with the wastewater and the water bonds, they recognized you as a AAA city. And because of the nature of a lease where you have contractual relationship, it's a notch lower. So any AAA city would have a AA plus lease revenue bond. And so I think, again, kudos to the city council, the mayor, and staff for maintaining that rating, and it just speaks volumes to the way the city has been run.
Thank you for that. My final question is, of the costs associated with getting these revenue bonds, lease revenue bonds out, are those all recoverable and chargeable back to the original? You're nodding, so go ahead.
So all closing costs are paid out of the closing of the sale. So they're paid out of the transaction.
All costs.
And so they're incorporated.
Okay.
Yeah, they're incorporated with the statistics that I showed to you this
Okay.
evening. The net present value savings, the rate. It's all adjusted based on the closing costs.
Thank you for that.
Closing costs and consultant and bond
Okay, got
counsel.
it. All
Yes,
costs.
all of it,
Okay,
yeah.
that's wonderful. Thank you very much.
Okay. Well, Irene or Michael, anything else?
I'm not 100% sure, but I was there when we did the lease, and I believe it was 50 years. Your concurrence?
Fill
It was
out a
either
check to me.
50 or
Sorry,
99.
I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
I don't have
Maybe we
that
can get a
off the top
copy
my
of
head.
that at some point? That'd be great. Thank you.
We'll look it up and provide it as a off-agenda memo to council.
Thank you. Okay, so we have this item before us. If the action is in the affirmative, we'll need two adoptions of two resolutions. One is the City Council, and one is the Public Financing Authority. So, any action by council?
Sure. Go ahead. We've done
I'm
it
looking,
this end.
I'm now, you guys are so good at it. I don't want to.
I'll motion to adopt resolution, City Council, Sanborn approving the official statement and purchase the contract connection with the leasing, financing, and approving of related documents and official actions.
Thank you. Wow. Is there a second?
Second.
Melissa?
Councilmember Davis.
Here,
Councilmember
Aye.
Medina.
Aye.
I'm here too.
Councilmember Salisa.
Aye.
Vice Mayor O'Connell.
Aye.
Mayor Medina.
Aye. Now we have, would need a resolution as the Public Financing Authority.
So moved.
Second.
Councilmember Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember Medina.
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry, Director. One moment.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We gotta switch
We
hats.
now switch to directors, so.
Switch to directors.
we have two
Director
titles
Davis.
tonight.
Aye.
Director Medina.
Aye.
Director Salazar.
Aye.
Director O'Connell.
Aye.
Director Medina.
Aye. Thank you all. Thank you, staff. Thank you for your work.
Yeah, very much.